People often say love is blind, but in my case, it wasn't blindness, it was trust. And trust, my dears, can be the sweetest comfort or the sharpest knife. My name is Grandma Elizabeth, and at 93 years old, I've lived long enough to know the difference. Today you may see a well-dressed businesswoman with steady hands and a proud back. But in 1952, I was just a young mother chasing hope and holding a marriage together with thread thinner than cotton. Back then, I was 23, raising two small children, James, 4, and little Charlotte, just learning to talk. I had married my husband William at 19. It was normal in those days. Folks didn't date the way young people do now. You met someone respectable, courted a few months, and built a life. And for a while, ours looked like something out of a church newsletter, simple, warm, steady. William worked at the paper mill and earned enough to keep a modest home in our Seattle neighborhood. Sundays were for church. Afternoons for lunch at my mother's place. I cooked, cleaned, stitched clothes for the children, and waited by the window every evening to see William walking home, lunch pail in hand. He laughed easily back then. He played with the children. I thought I had everything a woman needed. But life has a way of whispering warnings before it screams them. One Wednesday afternoon in March, William came home and told me his company doctor had encouraged every worker to donate blood at Seattle General. Anyone who participated, he said, earned a half-day off a month. Strange, yes, but I didn't question him. My William hated needles. He fainted once getting a flu shot. But I told myself maybe he felt proud doing something noble. The following Wednesday, he left early again for his donation. Then again the next week. And the next 7 months, he said, he'd been donating blood. 7 months. Still, I trusted him. Trusted that a man wouldn't lie about doing something so selfless. But trust, my dears, trust can be the soft blanket that hides the cold truth beneath it. It was my brother George who first tugged the blanket away. He worked at Seattle General as a janitor and casually mentioned over Sunday dinner that no one can donate blood every week. Not medically possible, he said. That one remark cracked something deep inside me. A quiet fear. A slow, sinking suspicion. But suspicion is just the beginning. Because the moment I decided to uncover the truth, everything in my world changed. And what I discovered the following Wednesday still haunts me, because no woman forgets the first time her heart realizes it's been lied to. All week long, after George's warning, something inside me kept twisting like a loose thread I couldn't ignore. Every time William smiled, every time he kissed my forehead before leaving for donation day, a quiet voice whispered, "Look closer. Lizzie, something isn't right." By the next Wednesday, I had made up my mind. I needed proof, something my heart could no longer deny. That morning, I brought the children to my mother's house. I told her I had a dentist appointment. She studied my face. Mothers always seem to see the truth without hearing it, but she simply cupped my cheeks and said, "Whatever storm you're walking toward, you're strong enough to face it." After lunch, I dressed with more care than usual. A navy dress, polished shoes, hair pinned neatly. I wasn't dressing for him. I was dressing for the moment my life might split in two. William left the house at his usual time, 4 p.m., smelling of cologne he rarely wore. He waved goodbye without a hint of guilt in his eyes. That almost hurt the most. I followed 20 minutes later, catching a bus that stopped 1 block from the paper mill. I positioned myself where he wouldn't notice me and waited. My heart pounded like I was trespassing into my own life. Finally, I saw him. He looked different. Neater, hair slicked back. Wearing a shirt I had never seen before, one he must have bought without telling me. William didn't take the bus home. He boarded the one heading downtown. I stepped on behind him, keeping my distance. He got off near Seattle General Hospital, but not at the main entrance. No, he slipped into a quiet side door, used mostly by staff. Blood donors didn't enter that way. My stomach tightened. After a few minutes, I walked inside too. The hall smelled of disinfectant and warm paper. A receptionist pointed me toward the blood donation area, but William had gone the opposite direction. I walked down the hall he had taken, and there, through a small office window, I saw him. William sat close, much too close to a young woman in a nurse's uniform. She was laughing softly. He was leaning toward her in a way I had not seen him lean toward me in months. And then, without hesitation, he stood, wrapped an arm around her waist, and kissed her. Not a simple kiss. A kiss of someone who belongs somewhere he shouldn't. My knees nearly buckled. The world blurred. A passing nurse had to steady me. Somehow, I found the door, stumbled outside, and walked until my legs gave out beneath me. But finding out William was cheating wasn't the real heartbreak. The real shock came when I uncovered just how long he'd been building a life behind my back. The walk home that Wednesday felt like crossing an endless desert. I couldn't cry, not yet. It was as if my body needed permission to fall apart, and I hadn't given it. When I finally reached the house, I collapsed onto the kitchen floor and let the truth sink its claws into me. My husband, the man I built my life around, wasn't donating blood. He was donating his time, his paycheck, and his loyalty to another woman. But I didn't confront him. Not that night. Not even the next. Instead, something inside me shifted. A quiet resolve. A decision not to scream, not to accuse, not to crumble. Not yet. Before breaking the marriage open. I needed to plan my own income, my own stability, my own escape route. So I became a quiet observer in my own home. I checked his pockets while doing laundry. I counted the missing bills from his pay. I marked each Wednesday and Saturday he slipped away. I noticed the new cologne, the pressed shirts, the missing coins he no longer handed me. Every little clue felt like another stitch unraveling. One afternoon, while folding his clothes, a tiny folded note fell from his jacket. A woman's handwriting. It read, "Wednesday, same time, miss you, S." My breath caught. Not because I didn't expect it, but because the truth was now written on paper. That was when I made the most important decision of my life. I needed my own money. I had always been good with a needle. My grandmother's old Singer machine still sat in the corner of our living room, heavy as a brick but reliable as sunrise. So I told a neighbor I could hem a dress for her. She was thrilled with the result. She told her friends. Those friends told their friends. Soon, I had more sewing requests than hours in the day. Every dollar I earned went into an empty cookie tin hidden behind the flour. It wasn't much, but it was mine. Mine in a world where women were expected to rely on their husbands for everything. Then came the night William announced he'd been fired. He said the mill had layoffs. But I knew better. His late nights, his lies, his disappearing money, they had all caught up to him. Yet the very next Wednesday, he left the house at the same time, in the same nice shirt, smelling of the same perfume. No job, no paycheck, still disappearing. That was the moment I realized he wasn't just unfaithful, he was building a life completely separate from us, and I wasn't going to let him take mine down with his. But what truly changed everything wasn't his lies. It was the unexpected woman who stepped in and handed me the chance. William never wanted me to have. Life has a strange way of sending help when you least expect it. For me, that help came from Barbara, my widowed neighbor, the kind of woman who had survived more storms than most people could name. One warm afternoon, after noticing my red-rimmed eyes and the exhaustion I couldn't hide anymore, she invited me into her kitchen. I finally told her everything: William's lies, the nurse, the missing money, the fake Saturday overtime, and the secret account I had uncovered. Barbara didn't gasp, didn't judge, didn't pity me. She simply reached across the table, squeezed my hand, and said, "You can't bury yourself just because a man forgot how to be one." Then she made a proposal that shook my life awake. Her brother was moving out of the city and needed to sell his tiny fabric stall at Pike Place Market. A narrow shop, nothing fancy, but filled with good materials and steady foot traffic. It's perfect for you, she said. You've got hands trained by heaven itself. The price was more than I had saved in my cookie tin, even after months of late-night sewing. But Barbara didn't hesitate. I'll lend you the rest, she said. No interest. Pay me back when you can. Back in 1952, banks rarely gave women loans unless their husbands signed the papers. Barbara wasn't just loaning me money, she was giving me a future. William never intended me to have, so I said yes. While William continued disappearing every Wednesday with no job, no explanation, no guilt, I spent my days preparing the shop. I scrubbed the old counters, organized the bolts of fabric, sewed sample dresses for the window. I chose a name that felt like planting a flag in my own soil. Elizabeth's Alterations. The day it opened, I felt something inside me stand up straight for the first time in years. A week later, everything finally came to a head. William walked in one evening, slumped and defeated. He claimed we were in serious financial trouble, claimed he didn't know what we'd do next. He didn't expect what I said next because for the first time, I wasn't trembling. We aren't in trouble, William, I said calmly. You are? I told him I knew everything, every lie, every Wednesday, every stolen dollar. I placed the evidence on the table. He denied at first, then begged, then blamed me. Finally, he asked what I wanted. And I told him the truth. I want you to leave this house, tonight. He packed his suitcase in silence. He left without a fight. And for the first time in months, my home felt warm again. The next morning, I opened my shop at sunrise, no longer a betrayed wife, but a woman rebuilding herself stitch by stitch. And that, my dears, was just the beginning. Because the quiet woman, he thought, he broke became the woman who built an entire empire with her own two hands. If this story touched your heart, tell me in the comments what city are you watching from. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this story so more people remember. No matter how old you are, it's never too late to stand up for yourself.